Hello, dear friends. Patrick Peace here. Monday, September the 8th. Haven't talked in a long time. Haven't been making much videos, commentating. But I want to share with you a couple of videos. I'm going to do this quick blurb, and I'm going to do two more videos on two different organizations, which I'm going to talk about now. Saturday, 2 days ago, Saturday, September the 6th, there was a Jesus March in downtown Toronto. I didn't hear about it. I asked a local preacher, I said, did you hear that, on Sunday, I said, did you hear that there was a Jesus March in downtown Toronto yesterday on Saturday? He said, no, I didn't. I said, well, neither did I. I said, that should probably tell us something. And, hoping to make him think about it, I've thought about it because last year I also didn't hear about the Jesus March that they had in downtown Toronto, our largest Canadian city, and I never heard about it. Now, apparently, there's approximately 20 million Christians in Canada, approximately half the population. And you have a parade in the largest city in Canada. Let's say it was the Santa Claus parade. Do you think you'd hear about it? Let's say it was a parade to celebrate Veterans Day, maybe a parade to celebrate landing on the moon. I don't know. But it was a once-a-year parade lifting up the name of Jesus, celebrating Jesus, in downtown Toronto, right in the heart of the city. I didn't hear about it as a Christian. My local pastor didn't hear about it as a Christian. And I'm thinking to myself, what Christian channel of communication would be able to share that with people so that they could know about it in case they wanted to go down? Maybe it would have like a festival atmosphere, maybe like an outdoor park atmosphere where people are gathering to pray and praise Jesus, lift up the name of Jesus, which is what it was. I saw it on a live stream by a friend of mine, and I don't even think he's a believer, which is fine. And I want to support his live streaming of the event, but that's the only way I found out about it, is because I subscribed to his channel. Otherwise, I never would have heard about it. Not in the papers, not in the press, obviously not in the anti-Christian Canadian media. They wouldn't want people to be aware of such an event. Of course not. But what about Christian channels of communication? And these are two that I'm familiar with, and I'm going to make a short blurb on each one after this to talk about them. The first one is the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada. They published the magazine Faith Today. They have 3,179 followers on their Twitter page. 20 million Canadians, 3,000 followers. That sounds about right. And their latest post, public post on their X account, Twitter account, was August 26th. So, a while before the Jesus Parade. And they said, these are the three most important news items for the upcoming week. They said the first one was about Mile One Mission in Newfoundland and Labrador. They're working to promote Christianity in that area of the country. Very interesting. The second was a French translation is available on their website of their posts. That's interesting. And the third one, they said they wanted to bring people's attention to an article on their blog post by Jim Coggan. And he talks about the importance of 100 years ago, 1925. And so I went ahead and I read that article, but no mention of the Jesus Parade at all. And by the way, that article, he talks about the Scopes trial in 1925, which was the trial about whether evolution was going to be taught in schools and so on. And he talks about the publication of the book in 1917, A Theology for Social Gospel, A Theology for a Social Gospel, by a fellow by the name of Walter Rauschenbusch. And this is, talks about the founding of the New Democratic Party, which was previously called the Cooperative Commonwealth Federation, and their goal was to make society better, and how that still affects us today. And then he compares that with fundamentalists. Fundamentalists were saying you got to get saved because society's going to hell in a handbag, and we got to, get people to accept Jesus and so on and so forth. Versus the social gospel people. He called the social gospel people optimists, in the article, and he calls the fundamentalists pessimists. And he talks about the founding of the United Church in 1925 as well. And apparently they reached a peak of 1 million members. But today they're expected to go down to 111,000 by 2035. Don't ask me how they can predict their membership 10 years out into the future, but that's what he's saying in that article. And of course, the article is slanted towards the social gospel and their Bible called A Theology for a Social Gospel, How to Make Society Better, the NDP, being optimists, and so on and so forth. But nothing, again, about the Jesus Parade. And then the second organization that could have announced it on their website would be the Canadian Council of Churches. This is an organization. They have 3,300 followers on their Twitter page. They apparently represent 26 member churches. They say they're the largest Christian umbrella organization in Canada. And you can see their the last Twitter announcement they did was in June of 2025. They've maybe done half a dozen tweets for the entire year. And the last one was a message talking about a bombing that occurred in Syria and how they were praying for the people that endured that horrible thing that happened, and expressing their sadness and so on and so forth. So that was an important tweet that they made, a political tweet, by the way. These organizations, for example, the EFC says any tweet that supports or opposes a political party or candidate will be removed. See? But anyway, the Canadian Council of Churches, you can look on their policies, and they put out a thing about how to vote properly, and they say the importance of anti-racism and climate justice in their list of priorities. So they are a social gospel organization, dare to say a very woke organization. When they focus on anti-racism, that is easily translated to discrimination against whites, obviously, and climate justice is another word for climate alarmism. And so you have these two organizations, which are woke social gospel organizations that don't want to promote anything to do with Jesus or a Jesus parade. That's not part of their mandate at all. They are anti-Christian organizations that want to suppress Christianity in Canada. That's their goal, is to suppress Christianity in Canada. Their goal is to elevate the values and beliefs and the religions of the people that are coming into the country. That's obvious from the empathetic suicidal policies that they have embraced. They said that the priority is on the people coming into the country, not Canadian Christians at all. However, there is an interesting fact I should mention, is that in the recent budget, Dominic LeBlanc is the Minister of Finance in Canada. They sent a letter to him saying, you proposing that, that any organization that wants to base its charitable status on promoting religion is to remove that charitable status. We'd like to oppose that. So all of a sudden they became political when it affects them directly, and it affects their salaries directly, it affects their livelihood directly, and affects their tax exempt status. All of a sudden now they're allowed to make a political statement within Canada. So that's very interesting, because these organizations aren't interested in making anything to do with politics unless it affects them directly. They don't care if it affects Canadians. They don't care if it affects Christians in Canada, but if it affects them, they're interested in about it. And they are not interested in telling their members or sharing the news that there's going to be a parade to celebrate Jesus in downtown Toronto. They are derelict in their duty. They are anti-Christian organizations, and they are under the judgment of God because of their dereliction of duty. All they care about is collecting their own fat paychecks and putting on this false morality of being social justice warriors. That's all they care about. So do the research, look up these organizations, ask them why they're not promoting Jesus for Christian Canadians. It's a reasonable question. Thank you for watching. God bless you. I pray that we can promote Jesus wherever we are.